4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I'ma press play every time.
The funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. Hey, the funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. The funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. The funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. Hey.
My name is Halo Thomas, and you're listening to the Funny Don't Stop Show.
All right. We got a full house.
Yeah.
We got a full house on the Funny Don't Stop Show this week. I'm Alex Thomas, and I'm your host.
It's your boy, Savvy Amusing.
This is Sad Brass.
I'm your boy. Raul. Yes, sir.
That's what's up. And you're watching
The Funny Don't Stop Show.
All right. So look, we're going to dive straight in today. As we know, first of all, we want to thank everybody that has followed us for, I believe, what number is this for us, Sid? 156 episodes?
157.
150 episodes. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. Want to shout out to all of the military, ex-military, people that fought for this country to keep us free. Shazam, what's up, brother? Yes, our show is called The Funny Don't Stop Show, and through all that we've been through in these 2 years, it's been a lot of tragedies. It's been ups and downs. Our slogan is we find the funny in everything, but this week is a very serious show. I know a lot of people are thinking, hey, man, Alex Thomas is always funny, but this particular week, I wanted to bring in some specialists because this country is going through a lot right now. There's been several mass shootings. Our hearts go out, the condolences go to all the families that have lost people in these horrific events. But what we're going to kind of like focus on this week is the mass shooting that happened down in Uvalde, Texas, with these children at this school. And I'm not a specialist in that, so I invited people that have knowledge of that world. First person I want to introduce is a good friend of mine, over 20 years. He is a licensed officer / I want to say he is a specialist in active shooter situations, been in the law enforcement over 30 years. Good friend of mine, Darryl Williams. Darryl, welcome to the Funny Don't Stop Show. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you having me here. Hopefully
Yes.
Get some things across, and hopefully we can end these shootings, man. This is crazy.
Yes.
This is insane.
Absolutely. I felt like, look, man, yeah, you could see it on CNN, and yeah, we could talk. People could talk all over the place, but I feel like, hey, man, just for our people, it's time to get some dialogue going. You never know who's watching. We have people that watch our show all over the world, and usually it is a relief to get away from the craziness, and they come to this show to laugh. But hey, man, I know people like you guys, and this is one of those times where, hey, man, some serious stuff needs to get out there because we don't know who's listening. Another brother I want to bring up right now who I just recently met, he is a firearms trainer and a specialist in every single type of firearm there is. Aubrey Sinclair. Aubrey, thank you for joining us on the Funny Don't Stop Show.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Appreciate you.
Yes. And another brother that I want to bring up is another great friend of me and my family, and he is an educator. He's been a principal, a teacher, and everything you could think of in the education platform for over 20 years. But he's now here to become a lawyer, but he's dealt with these situations on a hand-in-hand basis in the schools of Chicago, and he's living here in Los Angeles now. Said Nolen, thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Man, thanks for having me, Alex, man. Appreciate you being, taking your time and taking the time out for the show just to really address, these real concerns. So,
Okay.
Man, I'm looking forward to it, man.
And I don't want to be the only one to talk, man. You guys, if anything that gets on anybody's hearts, feel free to ask the questions. We have some professionals with us today. I just ask everybody speak one at a time because I want to hear everybody and I want you to be heard. I'm just going to throw this question out first, and I'm going to start with you, Darryl. How and why can an 18-year-old go into any gun store in America and buy 2 military assault rifles with over 365 rounds of ammo and just immediately not a red flag go up? Obviously, we don't know his intentions. I understand he came in there to buy and purchase, but how do we let that happen, man? And how do we stop it from happening if there is a way to stop it?
Well, there's a lot of things that we can actually do. One of it's, since I'm a SWAT guy, I'm also involved shooting. I've been to alert school. I'm an active shooter instructor. I went through all these schools. I know that I was younger, I was really fascinated with firearms, but I know that if I had touched the firearm, that I would have got a spanking. And you know how that used to work back in the day. And I think that there's a lot of laws that need to be changed. A lot of things that really need to be changed is our mental health awareness and people to listen. If something is happening and these kids are seeing things, if somebody throws out a threat, these kids are kind of ignoring it because they think it's funny or it's a game. But when it gets to the serious point of things, then that's when the action starts. And so we have to start paying attention to our students and our family and everyone else instead of these teachers worrying about getting money and staying at home and trying to work from home. These kids need some help, and it's going to get worse. Alex, this is not over. This is only the beginning. And we see this. I get alerts every single day about what's going on, and terrorist alerts of shootings. It's ridiculous. I've never seen it like this before since 2021 started. It's insane. It's insane.
Let me ask you something, Aubrey. I talked to you earlier on the phone, and you explained every single state in America has different gun laws. Explain that, because I was wondering, okay, hey man, this could happen in Beverly Hills, it could happen in Brooklyn, it could happen in San Diego, it could happen in North Dakota, but kind of the same thing, like, is there going to be a solution? We don't want this to continue to happen. And what do you think is going to happen law-wise?
Well, in California, they just overturned, like here in California, you have to be 21 to purchase a firearm, whether it's a long gun or a handgun. At one time, some decades back, you used to be able to be 18 to purchase a long gun, rifle or shotgun. That was turned over. Now you have to be 21, but then they recently overturned that. So when that actually hits the books again to where you could be 18, that's going to be coming soon. But just one correction I want to make too, Alex. These are not assault weapons. This is just a modern day sporting rifle, because when you use the term assault weapon, that puts people in a tizzy. And it puts people, I know they look like the military weapons that I didn't serve in the military, but they look like the weapons that our military uses, but it's not an assault weapon. It just, all it is it's a modern day sporting rifle. And all
right, real quick, not to interrupt you, Aubrey.
Yes,
Raul, can you please bring up the picture of the two guns that this young man went into the school with? I'm not a professional like you guys, but to the average person, when you see these two guns that he's about to show, and feel free to speak over it, say, what are those? Somebody.
Those are AR-15s. Those are two AR-15s. And that's on a civilian, and that's a civilian AR-15 that he went into whatever local firearm store, FFL, and purchased those. That's not the same weapon, even though one of those, that one on the bottom with the vertical grip, and the one on the bottom to the left is a Daniel Defense. That's a very expensive rifle. That rifle, on average, is about $1,800 to $2,200. So he put his money away, or someone bought that for him to afford that with a job at Wendy's. But that's just a modern day sporting rifle. And,
well, I mean, to the average person, you can go back now, Raul. To the average person like myself, I mean, I wouldn't know that. It looks like a military assault rifle to me, and whatever he was able to do, he caused extreme bodily harm. And I mean, I'm just trying to figure out: is there a way to stop this? Is it okay? No, hold on. I want to fix something. You mentioned something earlier that really made sense to me, and I was like, wow. Explain with them what you told me about. They don't want you to go in there and buy a rifle at 18, but in the same breath, they tell you it's okay to join the military at 18 and go to war with a rifle.
Correct. That's correct. So yeah, you can, as throughout the United States, you can join the military, whatever branch is available. And then if we're at war, you're given a rifle and a handgun. So at some point, like, my father, I was raised with a Southern father. My father was from Louisiana. My father grew up hunting. So I was introduced to firearms at a young age when I was 7 years old on one of my first rabbit hunting trip with my father. But my father also instilled safety with me. You know what I mean? He told me the do's and don'ts of firearms, where to keep your muzzle pointed, and also to, be able to protect your family. But things are different right now. Just like Brother Williams said, it's a lot of mental health issues that we're suffering from in this country, and people are grabbing a firearm to do whatever they feel is telling them to do in their head, and it's a sickness. It's a sickness that we need to contend with. But removing firearms wholeheartedly, trying to remove probably 500 million firearms from American citizens is not going to cure the problem either. It starts with mental health and a mental check, because that's where the issue lies.
You brought up something that is very interesting to me, and I'm gonna say this, and right after I say this, Raul, I want you to bring up the video of the young boy that is basically, I hate to say it, he sounds like a future killer. My thing is this: how young, before you saw the video, Aubrey? Because I have children. I have a 6-year-old. I have a 7-year-old. I have a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. I have a 1-year-old, and I have arms in my house to protect my family, right? But it's kind of between a rock and a hard place. We were talking, my wife and I, like, okay, I guess it's a game time decision, or some people say I'm going to teach my kids at a young age about this and hope that they don't go the wrong way, or I'm on the fence of, man, I don't even know if I should bring this whole thing up until a certain age, because I don't want anything to go wrong. Like, what is your feeling on that? Darryl, what's your feeling on that? And then we'll go back to Aubrey.
Well, Alex, I started showing my kid when I was in the police department at the age of 3, because I knew that if I came in and I was really tired, if I laid my gun down by mistake, and I usually don't do that, that he understands he shouldn't touch it. I remember I did a training that at a Jewish temple here in LA, and I passed out orange plastic guns. The first thing they did was grab it and put their finger in the trigger, something that we should never do. And I know that you and I have talked about how we without putting your finger in the trigger. Right. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest concern that we have, that these kids see on TV, that's TV shows that everybody has their finger in the trigger. So that's what they
videos.
So I know your kids, and I know how you are with your kids. You're great. That to a point, to a certain age, you're going to have to start showing them like what the danger of it is, because hey, they could be in a school, or they could be. I think it was just another case just the other day. A 2nd or 3rd grader had a gun in his desk the other day. A 2nd or 3rd grader. So it's out there. And
so let me ask you this: do you recommend those of us and people that are listening that have firearms at home, that are protecting their homes? Do you suggest a certain age, or is that kind of like a decision you got to make as a parent? Like you said 3, Aubrey said 7. I was not thinking that. I know how my son will get up and take a shit in the middle of the floor. I don't think I can. Okay, after the shit, we're going to show you the difference between our assault rifle and our revolver. It ain't time yet. You know what I mean? Like, how do you make that decision?
But now you have to understand, I was in the police department, so it's very different for me, because I come in with the gun and he sees the gun, and he needs to understand that that's something that we consider that was hot. So every time he came around it, he understood it was hot. But if I didn't teach him and I laid it down, he would have shot me or shot himself or shot.
Right, you had to. You were in a situation where you had to do that, because that's your job.
The biggest thing is, and you and I, and I know that Arby brought up a good point. He said his father showed him how to handle a firearm. These kids now that are buying firearms at the age of 18 and 21 don't have that father figure to go ahead and show them how to do it. Correct. So they go out and explore what the firearm can do. They don't understand the danger behind that firearm. It's a very powerful firearm. I carry a gun every single day in 50 states. I have ARs. I have it all. But the biggest thing is I need to know that I need to protect myself. I need to protect my kids. But I also need to be very safe about certain things I need to do. And that's also teaching other people about safety and your kids about safety.
Right. So speaking of kids, please roll. It was a very disturbing video, but I want us to see this, because before we show the video, I'm going, this couldn't be written. They didn't make this up. This is truly, the kid couldn't be a day over 8 years old, and I was blown away from this. And when we come out of it, Sid, I want to get your thoughts, because we're going to slide into a topic with you. Watch this video real quick.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A murderer, because I like killing. My brain tells me if I like killing or not. I like killing because when I first watched my grown-up killing show, myself started to like killing, and then my brain started like telling me what to do with killing in it. So I like murders and I like killing in my life. I'm gonna kill everybody in the world except for my family because they just didn't do anything to me. I just like killing.
So just any type of person, it doesn't matter. What about me?
Yeah.
Even me?
No, not even my teachers either.
Okay, because I'm the first person that you told this. Am I? Yeah?
So, I just like killing.
So what are you going to be again when you grow up?
A murderer.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. What do you want?
That blew, it wasn't even funny. It blew me away because it's like, what do you do? Like, if he continues down that road, some school, somewhere he goes in his deck, whether it's soccer practice or at school, how do you change this kid's ideology? Who are his parents? What is he raised by? Like, what's the first thing that goes to your mind when you see that, Seth?
Very unusual behavior. That's first thing that goes to my mind. Somebody taught him to be that way. Yeah. Someone taught him to talk that way. Someone taught him that was a good thing to do, a good thing to be. So everything is all taught in this world. No human being comes in knowing what exactly they should be doing. No one knows the right from wrong once they come in. The right from wrong has been taught to them. So whoever his parents are, whoever he surrounds himself with, his uncles, his cousins, his brothers, sisters, whatever the case may be, he is being taught this type of behavior. And that is very unusual. I've never ever experienced something like that within the public school system that I work within, because that's just not something that's a learned or taught behavior, within the type of culture of individuals that I've actually, educated or led, if you will.
Said, I have a question. You being an educator and being in schools for over 20 years, yes. My question is this. Are you taught to either see signs if a kid is on the verge of doing something silly, or if like to report any type of activity? Like, how do you know? I mean, those teachers wouldn't have known. Nobody would have known that this. How do you deal with that at school?
But to answer your question, yes, I am taught to be able to pick up on things as such, and that's not a taught behavior. That's a skill that has to really be embedded within you. We call that a judge of character, and we also call that being able to study human behavior and human beings. So once, as an educator, you do come up within that particular educator or within that knowledge to become an educator, you go through something called psychology of a child, human behavior, human development. And so you are taught, one is taught as an administrator to be able to pick up on certain signs as such that might lead to a certain, situation that might not be along the same lines as it should be. So as an administrator, I do pick up on that, as well as my team members. But yes, a teacher probably would not pick up on that if they haven't asked that particular question. You got to ask the right questions to get the right answers. But
let me ask you this:
know that the teacher doesn't. They don't. All teachers are taught to do is to teach kids with certain subject disciplines. Now, everything else that goes along with it, they're not taught to be able to do that. That comes with going a little bit further within your career to make sure that the behavior of that particular human is aligned to in which way that you want this particular student to grow up in.
With that being said, my question to you as an educator for all those years, are there any type of programs to teach you about you and the children's safety? Like, for example, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Texas, whether it's New York, whether it's Idaho, are there programs to let you know, okay, all these other things about education, great, but if there was an active shooter,
right,
are you taught that? Is that part of the class? Is that something up front? I mean, you're not expecting a regular teacher to be able to deal with firearms and if there's a shootout. I get it. You're supposed to call 911 like everyone else.
Absolutely.
But I'm just truly from the bottom of my heart, I had to ask. Is that brought up?
It's brought up during their training, not as much. It's a snippet. And so what happens is that when they are immersed into the educational field, they become a full-time instructor. As a principal and as an administrator, we are supposed to teach our teachers as well as kids what to do if a certain situation happens. That's why we have fire drills. That's why we have evacuation drills. That's why we have those type of drills, because of the fact that something might happen. We call that a disaster drill. So we have to have at least 7 to 10 drills that are aligned to certain things that might occur while they're in school. And this is what you do if that particular situation were to occur. So
I don't want to cut you off. But I want to say you mentioned something that all of us, because we're all of a certain age, we're all 35 and older here, and we all grew up wherever we grew up in cities we grew up in. We heard about those drills, the fire drill, the earthquake drill. But I feel like in this day and age, in this century, I feel like the active shooter drill is, if it hasn't been in there, I feel like it has to be more than ever. And with that being said, D. Williams, do you actually go into schools and teach the administrators and then they pass that down to the kids, or how does that work? Like how does that work?
Well, Alex, on my foundation, all the people that I have a lot of celebrities on my foundation. Right now, we put some active shooter door locks in a couple schools that you just talked about in Idaho. Right now, I'm working with a city that had the youngest active shooter. She was 13 years old. She shot 3 people, and the teacher disarmed this person. Pretty much the teacher understood how the firearm worked. That was the first time, and pretty much, like I said, it's usually 90% of the active shootings are men or kids. This is the first time as a female. A couple of months later, another girl brought a gun into the school. So we're starting seeing a lot of females, students bringing in firearms into the schools and going after these guys. The biggest thing is some of these teachers don't want to listen. And I know, like, at Sedlin, he definitely know. We have an attorney who works for a big firm that does all our legal stuff for our schools. They don't want to listen. They just say, yeah, it's not going to ever happen, but it does happen, Alex. It's just, you can't ignore the signs. When you and I are walking down the street and we see something, we're like, hey, man, this doesn't look good. These teachers don't really look at that, and they teach the kids something totally opposite when something that they shouldn't be teaching. They should be teaching more about awareness and understanding and listening to these kids. If the kid has a problem, listen to that kid. Don't be like, you know what, that's not my job anymore. I want to go home and clock out. That's what they're doing. And it's not what it used to be. I remember, like, when I was in school in 19 blah, blah, blah. It was, my teachers were tough. If I said something like a bad word or something, believe me, I was in that principal's office about to get smacked down. It was like that because they really actually cared and understood. Now it's kind of like, you could say something and they just kind of walk away. They're like, yeah, we don't want to be bothered with it. But that kid's going to come back. He's going to come back. And so we do go back and we speak to all the teachers. And I do go do I do these programs in these schools under my foundation. And it's been working. We have one. I'm coming into Idaho in June for 4 days and speaking with the sheriffs and the police department. We're teaching about less lethal. We're doing a whole bunch of new stuff. But we're really looking and focusing on kids in these active shootings right now. Because, I'm scared, dude. It's that scary. And I think these people really need to step up. These schools need to step up instead of worrying about other things and protect these kids immediately.
So look, Raul, I want you to show Raul. Yeah. Raul, I want you to show the video of the teachers in New Mexico, and we're gonna come out of this. And I got a question for you, Aubrey. Show this video.
School in New Mexico, many of the teachers carry guns just in case. Show me your weapons and tell me what they are.
45, sir.
45.
I'm Assistant Pastor. This is the 45. Yes, Director of Security. 45.
The pastor carries a 45 in a case that looks like a Bible. The principal is also armed with a .38 semi-automatic pistol.
How many of you feel safer knowing that your teacher has a gun? All of you.
Aubrey, do you think teachers should be armed?
if the teachers are qualified. Of course, they would have to go, and I'm sure Brother Williams will agree. As an active policeman, they would need to be highly trained and qualified. But I believe if that qualification is there for that said teacher that is willing, because just like you guys are stating, and just like Brother Williams said, a lot of teachers are going to be very dismissive when it comes to this. And and a lot of people get in that mindset of just wanting to do their job. But if the people are properly trained, I would agree. But the a caveat to the whole active shooter training is the bad part of that, or the flip. No, I wouldn't say bad, but the flip side to that is you do active shooter training, but supposing that potential active shooter is one of the ones that's getting the training because he's a student. So he's it's not like, so it's, I get it protects and it gives situational awareness, which is the key word in all this, situational awareness to all the students and even the teachers. But if you got a potential student that's on the cusp of doing something bad, wanting to hurt other students, wanting to hurt himself, or wanting to hurt some of the faculty, he's sitting in on all this active training. So now he knows how to circumvent certain situations. So, but back to your original question, yes, I think I'm not opposed to a teacher or educator having a firearm if that's what it takes, because just like in a lot of states where there's open carry and there's carry states, I'm not saying crime doesn't happen, but it's not as likely as like we're here in Los Angeles or California, to where it's harder and more restricted to get a CCW. For if a kid knows my teacher has a firearm in that class, he's less likely going to start in that class. Maybe he may start out on the schoolyard, but if he knows he's going to get faced with you face resistance with resistance. If he knows he's going to be faced with that, he's going to have to second guess it. He's going to have to change his whole ideology and what he's going to do in his plan of attack.
So I got a lot of pushback when I posted that on my social media, because you get a lot of people that are going to go in, hell no, I wouldn't want teachers to have guns, because what if the teacher had a bad day, or what if the teacher's crazy? What if the teacher? My whole thing is this, man. Yes, that's a human thing, and yes, that could happen to anybody. Anybody could have a bad day, but I got to go back to that shooting in Texas. Or the other thing I get is, what would their 45s have done when this dude had ARs and body armor? And I look at it like this, brother. That dude went in there and killed 19 kids and 2 adults, brother. If let's say three teachers had 45s, and he could have all the body armor he wanted. If he was getting shot at and they were aiming for his head, and let's just say one of them hit him, hey man, that's less kids getting killed.
Correct.
I don't feel like I don't want the teacher to have a gun. No, because I'm not there. It's gonna take me. I'm 10 minutes from my daughter's elementary school. That's a long goddamn time. They said that dude, it took him, I believe, 4 minutes to do what he did that day. To do what he did, 4 minutes, and then obviously the whole 91 other minutes before they went in. I look at it like, if there's somebody there that could protect these kids, I'd rather those teachers have guns than not have guns. And we got to sit there and wait for the cops to come in there. I mean, what is your feeling on that, Savvy?
Well, I had a big concern.
All right, say it first. You go first.
I think it's a moment to kind of take a step back and not be so reactive, and kind of be proactive with this situation, and understand what's the impetus to actually drive some of these kids to be doing what they're doing. A lot of the education that we have that's kind of being indoctrinated in these kids' mind, whether it be a topic of conversation to CRT be in schools today. So I think that we're going to have to take a real hard and serious look at what's infecting the minds of these kids to enable them to actually do the things. I know we can easily just write them off as crazy or mentally ill and things like that. But what are some of the things that we're actually teaching the kids and they're learning from either their parents, from our political constructs or our social constructs, that's making these kids feel enabled and embodied? A lot of these scenarios, they see that these kids are in chat rooms and talking and having discussions with other people that tell them actually how to do the procedures. So I think it's a healthy conversation to talk about how to protect ourselves in giving this kind of onslaught. But I do think it is a healthy conversation for us to have a retrospective look of what's making these kids do the things that they want to do, and what is these kind of systemic racist, because we see the kid had certain racist epitaphs on his actual written on his gun. So I think that we are avoiding that in a lot of our political conversations, our education conversations, and even our social conversations. And we're looking at this a lot from a reactive standpoint, but even from a proactive lens, we're going to have a real hard, serious look at what can we do to kind of prevent some of these things before we get to the self.
Well, don't get me wrong. You said all that, but you still didn't answer my question. And I get you. Darryl said it. Cedric said it. But I get that. But what I'm trying to say is, put yourself in my position, and you have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Would you be okay with those teachers up at Campbell Hall, up at Woodcrest, having guns to protect your kids?
Yeah, we're cool with that. I think most people are cool with a licensed, trained, professional teacher protecting not only just themselves but the students. I think people don't really have a problem with that, especially seeing that we're in such a gun-friendly society today.
Said Nolen, did you ever feel in your 20-something years of being an educator, Chicago school system, where it was the murder capital for a few years while you were there? There was children killing children and all that stuff. Did you ever have that fear, or did you ever feel like you would have to carry at school? Did you ever have that dialogue with other teachers, like, yo, I love these kids and I love my job, but I feel like I need to protect myself and these kids?
Absolutely, I've had that conversation. But one thing that I want to say about that is the structure of the school and what is the hierarchy of the protection of the kids of the school. And it starts with the principal as well as his administrative team, and then it goes down to the security, and then it goes down to the teachers and staff within the building. So my thing is that not exactly, agreeing with the fact that teachers should hold guns. If they're licensed, that's fine. But it really starts with the administration of the building. So as an administrator, what I want to wear, absolutely. What I want my team to wear, absolutely. What I want my security, absolutely. My dean, absolutely. Because we are the protectors of that particular school. There's no way, at no time, that we are going to let, even though it could occur. I'm not saying it won't occur, but for a kid to come into a building, mind you, the scenario is this: that the kids come into the building and then they start to go ahead and do what they do. I haven't heard that in any of those situations, as well as the Sandy Hooks, that a kid started to shoot in a classroom and then walk out of the classroom and then started to go in other classrooms, start to shoot. They came into the building, which means that who is that gatekeeper within that particular building, right? And my thing is like this: yes, they might not have known that the individual probably kind of was going to do that, but being the gatekeeper of that particular school means a whole heck of a lot. Do I mind teachers holding? I probably would say yes, but I am definitely with administration holding. A principal, assistant principal, dean of students, security, head of security, whatever the case may be. Absolutely, because we are actually the protectors of that particular school before it gets into the classroom. Okay?
Real quick, and I don't know if this is a question for Aubrey or Darryl to answer, or I just want to hear what you guys got to say. Why can't they find it in the budget? We're paying all these taxes, private or public. Why can't they just make it mandatory at every damn school in America? There be armed guards. I mean, like when you said gatekeeper, whether it's the front gate in the back, and whoever is coming in here is going to think twice before they try to do something stupid. Let's just be honest. We've seen surveillance of the dude that just went in. We've seen that several times. I just feel like if it was somebody sitting there armed, you got to go through him first. Why can't they do that? Why? I mean, we go into Walmart, there's a security. You go into a nightclub, there's a security. I've always heard people saying, well, if the school doesn't have it in the budget, like how many more times are we going to have to hear about 19 children getting killed before somebody goes, hey, man, there needs to be visible armed security. What's your feeling, Aubrey?
I agree. I mean, I went to school at LAUSD. So I went to Dorsey High. I went to Dorsey High School.
Mm-hmm.
Came out in 1989. When I was at Dorsey, we had, and my uncle, not my blood uncle, but he was like family to me. My uncle Jackie, I'm just gonna say that, he was security at Dorsey. We had 2 armed security on campus when I went to Dorsey. This was in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie was, both of them, Jackie and the other brother Cotton, were both LAUSD police officers, and they were on campus at all times.
And everybody knew it. You saw their guns and everything.
No. It wasn't. They weren't exposed. These, so that was a different time. So these cats wore suits and blazers every day.
Right.
But they were armed, and we all knew this. So it did give you, even back then in the 80s, for those that grew up in LA back in the 80s.
Right.
The 80s are crazy.
Oh no, it was very crazy. Somebody got killed. Somebody got killed in my high school during 5th period. In the hallway, you know what I mean? But real quick, Aubrey, I'm an LA dude like you, so Dorsey, all that stuff. Remember, that was also because there was a huge gang problem in the inner city schools back then. Bloods, Crips, blah blah blah. And that's a black school. Forget the gang thing. I'm talking about whether it is an extremely expensive, rich school like my daughter's school, Campbell Hall, or Dorsey, or wherever, a school in Alabama or Texas. I feel like there should just be automatically armed security that are visible. And I think from the richest people to people that can't even afford private school, I think any parent, if you are a parent and your child is away from you for 6 to 7 hours a day, man, I would like to feel a little bit more at ease.
Alex, I would tell you.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm sorry, Alex, to cut you off, but I would say this. Like, I'm not going to say the school. I know your child and my child goes to one of these elite progressive schools, just like Campbell Hall. I'm not going to say the school.
Right.
There's armed security at her school. There's multiple people at her school.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually pretty cool with 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And oddly enough, when they first took the contract up at her school about 3 years ago, I think that was, and I start befriending these guys, and I kid you not, I put a challenge up to these guys. I was like, you know what? I'm befriending y'all, making them laugh. I said, but you know what? To make me feel secure, because I knew the previous guys were ex-SWAT and ex-PD. So I don't know if these guys have that same background. They just may be security. But I said, in order for me to feel a little bit secure with you guys, these new guys coming in, I said, go out to the gun range with me, because I said, I want to be able to see your groupie. And they laughed. They thought it was funny. But I said, I'm cracking but facking. I'm laughing with you, but I'm dead ass serious. I said, if my daughter comes here, my daughter is as high as a priority as anyone else's kid here. But I want to know that if you're here, that if in a snap of a finger, if shit hits the fan, that you're going to be able to not only protect my daughter, but every other kid and the administrators at the school. Only one guy took me up on that.
Well, I think it's really dope as a father that you did that. They got to respect that. And one thing I'm learning from my daughter going to these elite private schools, my wife and I actually have relationships with these teachers and these administrators. It's all something new to me. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't like that when I was a kid. My mama didn't know people up at the school on a first name basis and had phone numbers and stuff like that. So to add to what you said, to piggyback to what you said, I was just being very humble when I said what I said, Aubrey. But the day after that shooting in Texas, my wife and I went immediately up to that school and we asked those questions. And it made us feel a lot better. And we wouldn't have known this if we didn't ask. But yes, sir, brother. They are clipped up. They got. Wait.
Hold on. You see, you owe me 25 push-ups. You just dropped the C word. It's a magazine, Alex. It's a magazine.
But you said an inside hood thing that nobody else knows about. Yeah, a magazine. A magazine. But when we found out that exactly like you said, ex-SWAT, Navy SEALs. We wouldn't have known that, right? We see them every day. But he said, he looked me dead in my eyes as a father and said, trust me, you don't see us with it on every morning when you driving it, because I see them all every morning. He goes, but they're within yards away in places no one would know but us. That made me feel much better. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's cool. I got you. We pay UCLA prices for a first grader?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They got it. They got it right there. That made me feel good, because I was like, what are y'all going to do if this happened here? You get what I'm saying? Savvy, right. You haven't said anything yet, but you have a daughter also. I know you have a question. These two skilled brothers and what they do, man. Speak.
Yeah, man. I've been just sitting back, soaking up the game and listening. I have so many questions, man. And I don't know if it would be for Darryl, Arbery, or Said. I mean, anybody can answer. I have a plethora of questions. Like, one of my questions is, we talking about mental health. And I graduated in 1999. I went to Manual Arts Crenshaw, and then I went down to El Camino Real. And I'm wondering, with the heavy load of gang banging that was going on in the drive-bys, et cetera, nobody ever mentioned mental health. And then we talk about the excuses these kids make, talk about, bullying. I was bullied, et cetera. Well, we were getting bagged on. People were talking about your clothes wasn't name brand and all this stuff. None of us ever went to a school and shot it up. Never. So what I'm saying is, what is it to where mental health, if that's the reason, is making someone so angry to where they go and buy an AR-15 and you shoot up the most innocent and the most vulnerable population you possibly can think of? If you're angry, why not go fight fire with fire? Somebody that could fight back. Like, what makes you go to an elementary school?
That's a cowardice act. It's a cowardice act.
I'm trying to figure out a reason why. And we talking about the teachers being armed, which I agree with, but I really don't think that this individual would have cared much about a teacher being armed if he just shot his grandmother. I mean, what do you care? I mean, you taking shots back at police officers. So a teacher being armed with a handgun, and this dude sprayed over 100 rounds in the classroom, cops themselves were hesitant to even infiltrate the room while he was in there. So what makes you think that he cares anything about an armed teacher when he's spraying 100 rounds into a classroom? So we have a serious problem here. Mental health could be it, but I just want to know, what is it in 2022 that wasn't in 2010? Like, what is the difference between gang banging mental health and these school shooters mental health? I mean, if this is something that's been around.
Real quick, Savvy, before we answer that question, I want to bring another person in. He's a good friend of mine. He's a Hall of Fame football player. He's basically the mayor of Buffalo. And unfortunately, they just dealt with a serious mass shooting. And I want him to chime in with this and join along in this dialogue. Big round of applause for my boy, Andre Reed. Bring Andre Reed in real quick, Raul Guzman. Andre Reed.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's up?
Hey, Andre, do me a favor. Turn your camera sideways, please, if you can. Thank you, sir. Perfect. That's perfect. So, Andre, have you been listening and watching the dialogue that we've been talking about?
Can y'all hear me now?
Perfect. Yes, sir.
Let's see, wait a minute.
Have you been listening at all to what we talked about? Because I want to bring you in.
I got my stuff all crazy here, man. Hold on. I can't hear you now. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Let me make sure the mic's on. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
I can't hear y'all.
Does he need to put in an earpiece, Raul?
Let me figure this out, man.
You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna text him to put in an earpiece. Would that help, Raul?
Sure. All right, can y'all hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Y'all looking at me like, I can't hear him.
Put in your earpiece.
Okay, I got to put in my earpiece. Okay.
Yes.
Let me come back in. I'll come back in a minute.
Okay. All right. So who wants to answer what he was talking about, Darryl or Aubrey?
Go ahead, Darryl, and I'll chime in.
Well, I know you said that. What does it have to do with a teacher having a gun inside the school? It's just like when a police officer pulls up to a case or to a crime, and these people see a gun, they're going to be like, they're going to disperse. The biggest thing about when you're talking, the biggest thing is about an active shooter is going to go there for one purpose and one purpose only. He knows that he's going to die if he tries to come outside. That's my job. Texas, like I said, it's listen, when I took the oath, I'm in two police departments and two sheriff's departments. When I took the oath and they said, give up your life for 28 kids or 18 kids or 19 kids, I'll give up my life. Listen, if it's banging off, I know what I need to do. I had all the schooling, I had all the training, I went to SWAT school, I did all that stuff. My job is to walk in there and take care of that business, not to sit outside for 40 minutes and say, where's the damn key at? Listen, I know how to get through those doors. I know how to break through all that stuff. That's what we're taught. But when you get a low budget or you get somewhere, a department that doesn't have the money or the credibility to do the things they need to do, I heard they had an 8-hour training. I had to do 36 hours just to be an instructor. There's a lot of training behind it, but I think a lot of these people, the budget that we're looking at right now, I'm not trying to be like anal or anything, but this $40 billion that went to Ukraine, I'm sure I'm going to get hit with this. Man, we could have took care of almost every school we have. This is America. This is our kids. We're losing our kids daily from this stuff. Other things are more important. America is important. Our kids are important. This week they just had another shooting. I believe it was in Orlando. I'm in Florida right now. It was in Orlando at a mall yesterday. I was like, wow, I was going to go to this mall. It's going to continue to happen. But now you have the police present. They're not going to ever come back. They're going to know what's going to happen. But we're also weakening our police officers to where these guys are kind of stepping back on a lot of things. Crime is happening, shootings are happening. They hear a police call, they're like, man, should I show up? I'm gonna chill. When they used to go like, we're gonna come in there full force, we're gonna knock this out. If it was LAPD coming through there, let me tell you, LAPD is gonna come through there. If it was my department I trained with, Compton Police, they're gonna come through. If it's New York, they're gonna come through. But when you have a small department that don't understand the background of law enforcement, or they don't have all that training, you're going to have hesitations. As a SWAT person, as I was going through, I was like, listen, I'm going to go through that door. I don't care if I get shot. But at least I can take out this guy. I'm good. Listen, let me die right there. But I saved 19 kids. That's what I look at.
Exactly.
That's what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Raul, show those pictures, man, because first of all, no one's a psychologist here. I get it. But show that picture, Raul, of can you see his face? You wouldn't have known. Am I right, Sid? You wouldn't have known. No, but nobody can go this. You know what I mean? Even his own friends. I mean, I heard he was texting people in other countries, and he was chatting with another 15-year-old, and on Facebook he said, "I'm gonna go to a school, and and he left it at that.
Right.
I mean, dude, we got to take these things serious now. Like, you can't even let those type of comments. It kills me because on Instagram and social media, they'll take your whole account down if you say something wrong, but you're not stopping somebody that basically is damn near saying they're gonna go shoot up a school.
Right.
Look at all these innocent kids and these two adults that have to die, man, because of this asshole. You know what I mean?
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, Alex. And I think, like I said, a lot of the things in police, they have pulled back. They have pulled back, call it F5 field interview, and talk to these kids. I think a couple of times they've crossed this kid and spoken with him, and they just didn't think about it. As you know, I go after child predators, and I can look and see what I'm dealing with. If I'm walking down the street, I can say, hey, this guy right here, I'm trying to tell you it's not right. That's my job. And yeah, I have to do what I have to do. But I think that these officers need to get a little bit more training, put a little bit more money into the system, and really take care of what's going on. Because once these officers start leaving, it's going to be even worse, man. It's going to be a daily activity, and we're just going to get numb to it. And we should never get numb to it. In the next week or so, this is going to go away.
So let me ask you something, Darryl. There was also talks, and Raul, I want you to show the text about. They said that it was proven that some cops actually went in there and took their own children out. Like, it's a small town, and a lot of people they went in there and saved their kids, as you see, and then they took 91 minutes to stop the shooter. What's your thought on that? My wife and I were talking about that. It's a tough call because, I mean, any parent would want to go in there and try to save their own kid, but obviously you can't save everybody. But there's people that are upset about that. I don't know what police protocol is. Like if you go in there, we get as a man, as a human, your child's in there, and you want to save them when other people can't be there to save their own kids. What's your feeling on that, Darryl? As a law enforcer of so many years, if you were in that man's shoes.
Dude, I go in there myself.
Wait, hold on, one at a time. Say what you're gonna say.
I want before Darryl speaks, I want him to answer the question, but I want to say this: when you have a disaster, and we call it a lockdown in the building, no one can come in and no one can go out. So my question would be, how do they even get in? Simple as that. Yes, they might be law enforcement, but we still have a protocol that we are not letting anybody in, and no one is leaving, no one is going out unless you have the specific instructions of the principal of the school. And so, as a principal of a school, it was my job to make sure that I hold the lock and key to that particular school, unless I directed it to someone else to do that. But when we have a disaster as such, no one can get in and no one can leave out. So my question would be, how do you even get into that building?
Let me tell you, I did active shooter school just not too long ago. We have hatchets, we have door breaks, we have hammers. I can get through a door, any door, bars within less than 15 seconds. Let me show you. I can demonstrate it. I can demonstrate that to you guys one day. I can get through a door in 15 seconds. That's all it takes me to get through. If it's jammed locked, we're going to go through that door. I'm going to go through that door. It doesn't matter. You have police officers that did it, and one police officer go through a building and save kids on an active shooting. One officer can do it. It's just that how they were trained and how they were set up. Listen, that was my kid, and that was some shooting. Guess what? I'm going in. I'm going to grab my kid. I'm going to grab all the kids I can get, man. And if I get shot, I just get shot. But you know what? Those kids are going to be safe going out of there, and that's what we're trained to do. But if you look at it that way, it's not going to happen because of the training. You gotta be brave. Listen, you got to be balls up. That's me. And Alex, no.
No, absolutely, and that's part of why I could not be in the military or a cop. I commend you guys and anybody because, brother, it's hard enough in this life being solo. It's real tough for me to go and try to save a stranger, and I'm trying to survive. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I understand it's a good deed, and it'd probably be different if it was my child. Like I was watching CNN all that day, and I'm pretty sure you probably saw the one brother. You know, unfortunately, it was all Hispanics, but this one father was like, "Yo," he looked at the cop straight up like, "Let me borrow your gun and your vest, and I'll go in and get my kid myself." But obviously, they couldn't let him do that. He's not trained for that. Right. You know what I mean? It was just scary, man. It's just my biggest nightmare, man. It's like, Andre, there you go. Can you hear us, Andre? Because we see you perfectly.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you, Andre. I think you were able to hear us. You just wanted to make sure we saw that Bills helmet behind you. In your Hall of Fame box. In your Wheaties box. That's what you wanted.
Hey, man, we do it right over here.
hey, but all jokes aside, Andre, as you can tell, this is a serious conversation today. Have you listened to us at all? Do you know anything that's going on?
A little bit of it. And a couple days ago, I did a little interview about the Buffalo mass shooting on a podcast there in Buffalo. Actually, it was just a regular TV show. And man, it's just you guys are talking and you guys are spot on about everything. What are we doing as a nation? Where are we going from here? Because this is going to happen again. Sorry, it's just
unfortunately.
It is.
It's going to happen again, and it's up to our people way up high in the government right now to get their big boy pants on and start doing something about it. Because it seems like lives really don't matter. I mean, am I wrong for saying that? Because we all say the same thing after it happens. Oh, condolences. We're so sorry for this. We're so sorry for that. We need action, and we're not getting no action. And it's going to continue to keep doing it. And they're going to continue to be, I mean, Alex, you know, geez. The other night, brother.
Yeah, man. We were at a situation in San Diego, and thank God we were not in there. We don't have to get all into the details, but
yeah,
there was a shooting in a club down there, and we're just like, dude, these people don't care about the news. If they're gonna do what they do, they're gonna do what they do. But obviously, that was more of a adult knucklehead, wrong part of town type situation. 18 to 25 dummies. You know, our first question was like, how the hell did somebody get into a club with guns? And kind of like the same thing. You know, one of our main topics today, Andre, is but before I go there, I'm hearing a lot that it's a money thing. And Aubrey, I don't know if you want to chime in on this. People are telling me that as long as these gun people and these gun laws can continue to make the millions and millions and millions of dollars, they want it. Hey, man, if you could be 12 and buy a gun, they would let you do it. You get what I'm saying? They don't give a fuck. There, it's all about dollars and cents. Is that true, Aubrey? Darryl, I'll start with you, Aubrey.
Well, it makes it. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, as that old saying goes. But then they already have it set up to where now the victims' families can go after the firearms company. So that's why, like a company like Remington that had been around for well over 100 and maybe 40 years, ever since the late 1800s, they had to file bankruptcy now because they got sued, I guess, for one of those. I don't know if it was Sandy.
One of the mass shootings.
Yeah, one of those mass shootings. They got sued by multiple families. They had to file Chapter 11. Or Chapter 13. I don't know which one. But they went out of business. Now, since then, other companies that kind of stepped in and purchased different portions of Remington, the firearm side, the ammunition side. But they have it set up now to where any victims, trust and believe, these 19 victims of this shooting down in Texas, these families are going to go after these. They're going to find out, oh, it was Daniel Defense and whatever that other AR-15 was, and they're going to go after these companies.
Wait. You brought up something that's very interesting to me, and I guess this could be a whole different bag of worms. But, for example, 6 Hour, let's say, Smith & Wesson, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So many mass shootings that have happened. Are you now telling me that whatever the crime, whatever the gun was used in the crime, they can go after that company? How is the company responsible when once it's purchased? How can they be responsible for what a dummy did when they lied? It said they were going hunting, but he went to go kill 19 people. How?
Correct.
Now I'm playing devil's advocate. Say I'm the Remington owner, or I'm the 6 Hour, or I'm the, you know what I mean, the Glock or the Smith & Wesson.
Mm-hmm.
How can you come after me? If that was the case, people that get killed all over America, all over the world by different arms companies, the gun companies wouldn't be in business. How do you sue the gun company?
It's foolishness, but that's the trickeration that we live under. And I'm trying to keep my words in alignment with what we're discussing and not get into my own way I think. But this is the trickeration. This is the technology that we live up under. I mean, are we going to go after? Is big tobacco still in our business? Is all these alcohol companies still in business? People die from cirrhosis of the liver. People die from car accidents because they're drunk. Are we going to go after Tesla? Are we going to go after Tesla because we decide we want to go autonomous and let the car drive us, and the car loses control and speeds into the back of someone or into a telephone pole? So are we going to stop driving cars? Are we going to stop smoking cigarettes? No, they go after who they want to go after. And if they want to go after to disarm Americans, what does the Second Amendment say? It's set up to fight a tyrannical government. That's what we're fighting against right now. They're trying to disarm you. If you cannot arm yourself, if you cannot protect your family and protect yourself, then they can come and kick your door in and do just to what them people they were doing down there in Australia, New Zealand, that were fighting this whole pandemic that's going on. I know I'm switching into gears, but what I'm saying, if they have to think twice, everything we're talking about right now, if you have armed security outside your school and these fools or whatever clown knows this dude has a firearm. I can't just go run in there and violate and murder innocent, defenseless people. They have to think twice. So it's just like anything else. You have to think twice before any action that you do.
So I got to wait. So Darryl, you being an officer for over 30 years now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never heard that before. I'm not doubting what Aubrey said, but is that valid and is that the truth? Because you would think we'd be hearing about trillions of lawsuits, whether it be a drive-by on the street or kids killing kids in Chicago. What is that the truth? Whenever a murder happens, the family can go after whatever gun it was and sue the firearms company?
Yeah, I think Gavin Newsom just did something like that. That you guys can go after. You can go after the gun companies about that. And like I said, man, if you can't, this is the thing I look at. Only way you can purchase a car if you have the money. You got to get approved. You got to get a driver's license before you can drive it off that lot. You got to get insurance. And I think that's a really big thing that these people are doing. Like you go to Texas, Idaho, Utah. They have open carries. But let me tell you, nobody messes with anyone in those cities because they're taught in their training, they understand that Second Amendment. And then, since you want CNN, it's really important that, these people are getting sued for that thing. You know that you can lay your gun, Alex, on your basement. On your table, and it would never go off until you're the person that pulls that trigger. And that's the biggest thing. And that's what they're not looking at. The guns company's not looking at you going out and shooting everyone or shooting people. They're looking at it as a fundamental sport. And that's what we look at it as, a fundamental sport. But they are serving. And
Andre, I want to ask you a question, man. We brought this up earlier, but I want to see what you have to say. Your kid going to a school, are you with or without teachers being armed to not only protect themselves, but your children, or at least until the police or SWAT or somebody gets there?
I think this has happened too many times in the last how many years? It seems like every 6 months where something else is happening. I think they should think about it for sure. And then the next thing will be, well, what if the teacher's having a bad day and he comes in?
Yeah, we talked about that. Right.
And he shoots 2 or 3 kids in the classroom, right? So it's like one thing after another. But the red flag laws and the all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's to me, that's what we have to do, and we're not doing that. And guess what, guys? Money is power. Power is everything, and the gun people are getting paid. It seems like because these happen so much now that it's all about putting dollars in your pocket at the expense of American lives and people. Until we figure that out, we're gonna be doing the same thing every 6, 7, 8 months.
So let's talk about solution the best way we can to kind of wrap it up. I'm gonna start with you, said Nolen, as an educator. What do you feel? Because there's people, real quick before we go there, said Brass, I want you to let the people know where they can find us and how they can watch the Funny Don't Stop show.
Yeah, you can check us out on youtube.com/The Funny Don't Stop show. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. But more importantly, go to youtube.com if you're checking out us on some of the other streaming platforms. Like, subscribe, get the alerts. The Funny Don't Stop show, youtube.com/.
So said Nolen, if for the people that are watching, you know what I mean? I understand there's just a few of us on this platform right now, but as far as, the dialogue needs to be had. And I've seen a lot of people that have chimed in that have said, hey, man, this is a necessary dialogue. And I appreciate that. What's your name? Jasmine. It's a lot to put on teachers. I say that as a former teacher myself. Now, I can imagine that. So, Jasmine, take a young lady like this lady. Like, as a teacher said, I mean, yeah, you happen to be a brother that was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and you're aware of the streets, and you have some street knowledge. But is it safe to say the average 2nd, 3rd, 4th to 7th grade teacher is not that chick? She's not that dude that knows anything about the streets. How do you ask somebody that is a math teacher or a science teacher or a shop teacher to be like, oh, and by the way, you need to carry this .45 Glock on you every day?
That's why absolutely. That's why it doesn't start with them. Like I said previously, it starts with the administration of the building. The administrator has to be able to secure and implement and execute and teach the tightest, the airtightest security plan that one might have for their particular building. And then whatever succinct action plan may be, they have to be able to let everyone know this is what is going to occur if this situation happens. It never starts with the teachers. It always starts with the principal. That's how it's been. That's how it's ever been. It's how it will ever going to be. So that principal has to be able to have a succinct security plan in place to make sure that if any situation as such occurs, this is how we're going to implement. This is how we're going to execute. Because I, as a principal, I was always the protector of my building, and I had my team to make sure that they were aligned to how I was going to protect my building, which means that I had to protect every single heartbeat in that particular building. And that means that I have to make some real tough decisions. So to go forward with this particular situation and how the situation occurred, this, that, and the third. This is what needs to happen in every school building. Every school building has to have a succinct security in place. Whereas that everybody knows exactly what that plan looks like, and everybody knows exactly how to implement and execute that plan if a certain situation comes about. Every teacher, every person in that building, whether it be the teacher to security to the custodian to the lunchroom manager, they need to know what this plan looks like, and they need to go through some professional development to make sure they understand what this plan looks like. Now, one thing we did talk about as far as having armed security, absolutely armed security should be in every building. Now, one thing that should occur, there's one thing that might just get rid of maybe like 80 to 90% of situations that might occur is that every school should have a metal detector. And when kids come through that building, they have to be able to go through that metal detector. It's just like going on airplanes.
Yeah.
We don't care who you are. We don't care how famous you are. We don't care what you get.
Exactly.
Into this building.
And I think, Sid, and to add to what you're saying, I think a lot of private school parents would probably, say, oh, we don't want that. That's why we pay all this money. Hey, brother, like I told you earlier, I'm paying UCLA prices for a first grader, but I would feel so much more at ease if I know that whether it's her friend that's sitting 2 seats away from her or it's the PE teacher, things are secure. Because guess what? It nowhere is exempt, brother. Shit can happen, like I said, whether it's Brooklyn or Beverly Hills. Right. Somebody can do something dumb. And it's the same way I feel safer. I'm be honest with you. After 911, yeah, it was a hassle. Yeah, now we got to damn near get butt naked, take all our clothes off and do everything at the airport. Yep. But I felt safer. Absolutely. I know the dumb shit's not going to happen, you know what I mean, with the dude sitting right next to me. So absolutely. I feel like, unfortunately, yes, it's going to have to be metal detectors everywhere, man. I mean, I would feel safer as a parent. What about you, Andre?
For sure, man. But, I think, we need to do better background checks on these kids and the internet and what they're saying and what they're doing and what they're posting. That's a telltale sign of what's going to happen.
And they said that the dude, the shooter, he was online with, I believe, like a 15-year-old in Europe or Russia. Oh, yeah. And he was basically telling her the plan, showing her pictures of because these youngsters do a lot of dumb things. Like me and my boys, we laugh about it. It's not a laughing matter, but we always talk about this hip-hop generation. These dudes be on their Instagram showing their guns, putting the gun all up in the camera. We see the serial number, you dumb fuck. And the outfit that you have on is what you did to drive by it. So when the crime happens, they're like, dude, he went on his timeline at 3:30 today. It said, yeah, nigga, I got 2 Glocks. You see my J's, you see the brown shirt, yeah. And that also was the shirt at the crime, nigga. So it's real easy for us to get you. Like, they do dumb shit. It's actually like, it's almost like I always say, the internet is like a gift and a curse. It's like, it's cool, but it also can get you caught up real easy, real quick, real fast. And in the case of this guy, he put it out there. What he's using, what the gun looks like. I believe on his 18th birthday when he bought both guns, that's the picture that we saw. Like, I don't know if it was you, Darryl. I don't know if it was you, Sid. I don't know if it was you, Aubrey. Somebody was talking about we need to, all the money that's being made, somebody needs to pay attention to these things because those are all telltale signs. Darryl, is that true?
Yeah, Alex. As you're talking, this starts as from the politics side too. Let me tell you, they will go out and say they need to destroy guns, but they're making money. They're putting money in their pocket because the next shooting they're going to make some more money. These gun people are going to come back and say, "Hey, we need to go ahead and end this gun thing. I will help you. I'm going to go ahead and go to the Capitol and make this happen." Another shooting happens. I'm sure I can do it the next time, and they're getting all this money. I guarantee you, as you know what I deal with, a lot of the Jewish temples. Walk into a Jewish temple and see what's going to happen. It's not you're not going to make it in. You're not going to make it out. And I'm so glad that your kid's going to a good school because I did pay UCLA or USC or Harvard money for that. But like I said, these principals and they're trying to put that out there, but the school administration that's above them are telling them what to do to get rid of police. LA Unified said they want to get rid of all the police. How are you going to get rid of all these police officers?
Right, that's just stupid. That's it. We always joke, Darryl, about that whole crazy defund the police and fuck the police. No, you're crazy. The person that's saying that is usually the niggas doing the crimes. Yeah, fuck the police because you do crime. Right. Who's the first people we call when there's a problem? We call the police. You get what I'm saying?
I thought it was
Alex. More black people has died in this world than ever before. In the last 2 years, more black men has died from gun violence and everything else because the police are walking away. Look at Tupac, what he said. It's a genocide. And this is a genocide of black people. They're getting rid of
It's unfortunate.
It's happening immediately. And it's going fast. And we have to do something about it. We have to really get in there and we're really going to have to look at what we're going to do for our communities.
A question I hear all the time is like, you see it on CNN, you see it everywhere. And I don't know, I'm just throwing this out to the panel here. When you hear people go, how are these guns even getting into America? Or how is it getting into kids? And hey man, how are drugs getting in their hands? You know what I'm saying? How is every type of drug on the planet getting in your kid? I honestly feel, I hate to say it, and I hope I'm wrong. It's never gonna stop. You're not gonna stop drugs. You're not going to stop guns. It comes down to the parenting and what you are teaching to your children.
No, that's why I brought that up earlier, Alex. Like, we have to take a deep look at, our political construct, our social construct, but more important, our education construct. What are we teaching the kids, and what are we indoctrinating kids to believe today? Because there are systems that are in place that are putting it in the mind of these kids to think that maybe this is right for me to do. Because if you read the manifesto that the one kid wrote, it's very articulate, breaking down.
Tell us about it. Tell us for the people that didn't know, kind of like give us like an idea what he said.
In Buffalo wrote a manifesto, and let me tell you, I took some time going through the manifesto, and he articulated who he hated, who he didn't hate, who he had a problem with, who he didn't have a problem with, how he's strategically going after specific people, and what the society and problems is and woes in society. So I think that we're going to have to really address systemic racism and how we see it playing a part in society today. It is definitely infecting the minds of our youth. And I think if we just kind of swipe it under the rug and look at this problem from a reactive situation versus a proactive situation, to kind of like quench some of these fires that's kind of brewing, we're going to see more of this. We saw the people that stormed Capitol Hill post the election. There are viruses and people that are literally having movements and literally infecting the minds, not only of our youth, but adults. And if we don't really take a hard look at that and really push back on some of these negative talking points and negative movements that are really inciting violence in society today, we're going to wake up and see a bigger problem than we can actually deal with.
Well, guys, I just want to say this, man. Obviously, this is a topic that we can go on for hours. This is a topic and dialogue that's not going to stop. I felt like, yes, this is called the Funny Don't Stop Show, but in a situation like this, I felt like it was just on my mind. It was on my heart. You don't know who we're touching. You don't know who listened to this show today that found out something they didn't know, found out you were educated, it just gets people talking, because I think, if it's not spoke in our community, it kind of gets swept under the rug, and then boom, it happens again, and then we're doing this again. You know what I mean? So I just want to say I appreciate everybody that watched and listened, and I want to thank everybody on this panel. And I'm just gonna kind of go around, and everybody just give us a few last words. Stevie, I'm gonna start with you, man. Like anything that you just want to get off your chest before we go, and we'll wrap it up after this.
Yeah, man. I just appreciate every professional that was in here today, man. Arbery said, Andre Reed, Darryl Williams, everybody, and I appreciate the insight y'all put out there, man. And been talking about solutions to these issues for a very long time. I really don't know if there is one, man, but I just really hope that I guess if we're using mental health as the issue, I just hope that we could get to the bottom of this thing some kind of way, man, because it's causing mental health in me, just concerning about what's going to happen with my kid from day to day while she's in school. And I'm sure everybody else across America feels the same way, man. So I just hope together as a country that we can remedy this thing sooner than later.
Absolutely. Raul, I know you're the producer of the show and you don't get to talk a lot, but you heard everything. Give us a few last words on your feelings on what we talked about today.
Yeah, like Savage said, I just want to thank everybody for being on the panel today, man. Because like I said, I learned a whole bunch of new stuff myself. This is always good to kind of get that talk out because, like I said, I think everybody kind of needs to hear it. I just want to say, yeah, man, you put God first, man. We can change a lot of stuff together. You know what I'm saying?
You're right about that.
We really, need to get back in our lives, man. Because I think a lot of these people are losing that touch, with God. And I think, like I said, that can change a lot, man, once you, really put God first, man. So that's all I'm saying. Just pray for the better times, man, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Said Brass?
Yeah, I've kind of said my points. I know I come off sometimes as the local resident hotep, but I think that if we can take a real hard and serious look at racism, socially, systemically, politically, socially, in all our different lenses, and whatever way we can affect solution and change, I think these are all little chips away at the solution. There's not going to be one solution to this big problem that is so nuanced and so multi-layered and multifaceted. And so however we can affect change in whatever way that we can affect change, I would implore for people to do that in whatever way they see fit.
Absolutely.
I know I will, and I'll live my life in that way, and I'll continue to do that and affect change in our society. And hopefully we can eradicate some of the ills we have in our society.
Yep. Darryl Williams.
Hey man, I think this is Alex. Thank you for doing this. This is great. I think what it is, you don't see a lot of black men getting together and discussing this, and this is really important to all of us. I started listening to things about these people are now calling black people white supremacy or black supremacy. We're calling all these people names. We're making bad statements because we want something that we can't have. Listen, you get rid of guns, you're going to have knives. You get rid of knives, you're going to have bombs. You get rid of bombs, what are you going to do? You're going to have a car? You can't get rid of this stuff, and this stuff is really important. But I'm glad that you stepped up and said, listen, as a black comedian and as a professional, like you said, we need to stop this, and we need to start talking to our youth, and maybe going into schools. Maybe all of us get together and say, hey, let's go ahead and make this tour, and make it, as about a comedy thing, but be real about it. Say, listen, yeah, we're going to be here to joke, but we're going to put some truth into it, and that's what's important. These kids are going to listen to us coming out and listening to them or talking to them, and if we can't do that, then we're still going to continue to fail, and we can't. These kids, listen. God bless every kid in this America. God bless every person on this earth, man. These kids are wonderful. I deal with them. I go out to child molesters. I put these guys in jail. Listen, I'm happy about that. And you know how I am. I'm very passionate.
Yes, you are. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
I think we should do this again, and maybe.
Absolutely.
And hit the community and let them know that we actually do care.
Hey, man, you know something? Maybe this will start a trend. Maybe this will, for the people that don't think that I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minorities together on something positive. Think about the rest of the world. They think if you get 7 black men in a room or in a Hispanic brother, somebody's gonna get shot or it's gonna be something bad. No, man. If it starts with just us right here, if it starts with panels just like this, hopefully how diseases start off small and they spread, this dialogue, I think if we had more dialogue and more love between us, hey man, I think the world will be a better place. It's not gonna, like you said, it's not gonna stop guns, it's not gonna stop drugs, it's not gonna stop violence. But I swear to God, if you get more people talking and being like, man, if I had only listened, if I had only learned, wow, man. One thing I've learned, man, and I learned this from one of my mentors and great friends, Magic Johnson. Magic told me, Alex, you know what I love about you? He goes, you remind me of myself. I don't try to act like I know everything. I surround myself around people who know what they're doing and people I can learn from also. And that's all I did. That's all I did. I'm like, hey, man, I know what I know, but hey, man, I'm always open to learn more. Aubrey, last thoughts.
Alex, I want to thank you and everybody else for inviting me on and let me chime in and give what I feel. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother. I just want to say, I don't feel just going, and I want to start this from the home for all of us as fathers and black men. Firearms should not be a taboo. Just like Darryl mentioned with his son when he was younger, he said he'd get off of work, but firearms should not be a taboo. Kids also have to know there's a difference between an actual physical firearm and these video games that they play, because they're caught up in this. It's like they're living a video game. It's like so the firearms do not need to be a taboo. Secondly, I would say that for any of the panel members or anyone listening right now, take some firearm training. Get acclimated with a firearm. Find for any of us that are in areas where there's good trainers, try to inquire. Find out where you can get some training. If you've never handled a firearm, get some actual firearm training so that it can remove that stigma of, oh, this thing kills people. Like going back, anything can kill someone. But all it is an inanimate object. It's not an assault weapon. It's not this. It's just a tool, just like a hammer, just like a screwdriver, just like Darryl said. Knives, anything. It's just a tool. So get some training, right? That will change your outlook on firearms if you just get some training. Maybe whether it's one time or a dozen times, get some training. Another thing, we also have to do a self-check on not only on ourselves as far as the sickness that we all carry because we've been here in the hells of North America for the last 400 years, but we also have to just make sure our kids are good. And if we see something wrong, get help. Get help. Don't just sit there and say, well, I'm gonna pray on it and think that the Elohim or the powers that created us are gonna fix your kid. If you see something not right within our children, we got to get help. That's the issue within black folk, our people, is we think I'm just going to pray on it. No, you got to seek out help because we all are suffering from something. We have been here. We've been conditioned. And I don't want to, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but if you see something either within ourselves or even within our children, get help because it's going to benefit our kids and make them a better human being so that when they interact with someone, when they become an adult, they can do what we're doing and maybe pull someone in or pull someone aside and help do a self-check and help them. So I appreciate you, Alex. I appreciate you, everybody on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, man. And you said a lot, but I would definitely say if I had to highlight one of the things you said is get help. And black folks, it's like a joke I used to do on stage. I'm like, black folks do not like going to doctors. Like the average black man in America, he is not just going to get his colon checked. He is not just going to go get, see if he's a diabetic because he don't want to know. But it's important. We need to know. You get what I'm saying? Like, let's get out of that. I want to go to a doctor. What? The doctor ain't got nothing against you, brother. He's trying to help you. Right. So, mental issues is very serious. You brought up something real quick, and I'm going to make it quick. When you said these kids play with guns like it's a video game. When Andre, when I saw that video of that man in Buffalo, it scared the hell out of me because it was almost like I was watching a video game. It's like it almost didn't look real. He was literally picking off people and killing people like he was playing Call of Duty. Obviously, he's 18, and I'm going to go with, I think that's what he trained on because it literally looked like that. For the fact that he put a GoPro, in fact that he went live, it's almost like that is so this generation now. We're seeing killings, we're seeing murders on Instagram, and it's almost like anything for views now. You know what I mean? With that being said, what's your final thoughts on that, Andre?
This is having forums like this, a dialogue. Nothing's going to get done unless we talk about it. We have to use this social platform. We know social media is good and social media is bad. Mm-hmm. We got to get right in the middle, especially with this. And, we got to write our local Congress people, get on Facebook, and wherever you live, just fire off a letter to your congressman.
Yeah.
And, whether he shuts the door on it, he doesn't want to hear it. It's we get enough people doing it.
Yeah.
Some things could change. And if we just sit there and don't talk about it or don't say anything about it, nothing will get done.
Yeah.
And we have to do that. And as black men, it's even more imperative that we do, because it's not like we're at the bottom of the totem pole, but we're not too far from it.
Right.
Because we're treated a little bit differently. But
right.
We have
not to cut you off, Andre, but it's almost like off of what you said. It's almost like black folks never thought that we could ever be president. We didn't think that our votes count. That should have been a great example of, wow, we could actually win? You mean we got power too? Yeah, man, it's powers in numbers. Like black folks in 2022 should think like, wow, there's been enough examples now that if we come together and be proactive, things can happen. White people have been knowing it from the beginning of time. Like when you said get together and write your congressmen, you ain't gonna see a thug nigga sitting down, hey, hold this blood. Let me write my congressman right quick. What's the congressman's name? Okay, yeah. So you know what I mean? That's not something we do.
Yeah.
But let's really step up, brothers. It's just let's really step up. Not to cut you off, Andre, but I just had to say that because you said that.
That's we do, and nothing's going to get done without getting a bunch of people together, talking about it, and getting to the right people.
Right.
It's all about action.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. Said Nolen, final thoughts.
Oh man, my final thoughts are this: speaking to the administrators, within certain school buildings or educational institutions, make sure that you have a succinct action plan in place for situations as such, because it all starts with you and it all ends with you. So just make sure that you have that plan in place that everybody knows the play. You can't hold the playbook. Let everybody know what the play is, and also get some advice for them to say, okay, how does this plan work? Is this plan good for you? What else can I add to it? Do I need to make some deletions? What else do I need to do? And then second and third for me is that, as far as like a legal standpoint, yes, mental health is real. And it does start at home, and then it does matriculate within the school atmosphere. But I want us to understand as we, try to control or end mental health, which that probably won't ever happen, but at least we can control it or suppress it as such. And let's not believe that one that utilizes mental health as an excuse or a defense for them. Let's just not believe that. Let's not believe that mental health can be asserted as a defense, because that's exactly what it is. Because one might have mental health, but one is actually using that mental health to assert a defense. But then we also got to understand that, we talk about bullyism. Let's not use bullyism as an excuse either, because bullyism has so many different meanings to it. It's so ambiguous that one utilizes being bullied as an excuse of why they did some things. And I think that as a final thought, just to sum it all up, I think that what we're doing is exactly right for what we're doing and how we're doing it. but we also have to make sure that follow-up is being implemented, because it can't just be a one-time thing. It has to be a follow-up. It's almost like having a conversation with a student inside the classroom or inside the educational institution. Yes, you might talk to him or her about their situations, but you never follow up back with them to see how they're doing with those situations.
Right.
You can't just be a one-time thing, call it one and done. Can't do it. You got to make sure that follow-up is succinct, that it's executed effectively and properly, so they know that you really do care about them and you do care about their well-being. And so when they feel as though that you care about their well-being, they will think twice about what they're going to do in the future.
Right. So, Sid, real quick, I just want you to let them know where they can find you at. Give them your social media, and we just go right back around the circle and then we end with me.
Sounds good. You can reach me at Said P Nolen on Instagram, as well as at Said Nolen Production on Instagram as well. No Facebook, it's all Instagram.
There we go. Savvy Amusing.
Savvy Amusing on all social media platforms.
Raul.
You can find me at the Big Goose, DABIGGUZ.
Darryl Williams.
You can find us over at the Crimes Against Children Foundation.
Aubrey Sinclair.
You can find me at Creole Sniper on Instagram. Creole Sniper 2 Guns on Instagram.
There we go. Said Brass.
You can check me out at SEDBRASS.
All right, Andre Reed.
I'm at on all social media platforms, Andre_Reed83. That's mine.
There we go. And you can check me out at Funny Man Alex Thomas on Instagram, but you can check me out every single Tuesday on
The Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. Hey, the Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. The Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. The Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. Hey, the Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. Hey, the Funny Don't Stop Show.